Managing a project consists of executing defined activities to achieve project objectives. These project activities or processes are more or less similar for almost all projects, but depending on the project, stress on each process will be determined by the project manager and the project team. This discussion provides a framework for understanding a process-driven approach to risk management. This presentation will explain process definitions and process groups. We will look at the Deming cycle as a process model. Finally, we will apply lessons learned from the field of new product development. A process is a set of interrelated actions and activities performed to achieve a pre-specified product, result, or service. Each process is characterized by its inputs, the tools and techniques that can be applied, and the resulting outputs. Inputs are the prerequisites or entry criteria to start a process. Outputs are the exit criteria or the result of the process with which the process ends. Tools and techniques are methods applied on the inputs or entry criteria to achieve required results. The output of one process generally becomes an input to another process or is a deliverable of the project. Defining boundaries of each process ensures better control over the entire project and project objectives. Project management processes are grouped into 5 different categories called process groups. They are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling and closing. These process groups provide guidance in applying appropriate project management knowledge and skills during the project. Initiating process groups. Those processes perform to define a new project or a new phase of an existing project by obtaining authorization to start the project. Planning process groups. Those processes required to establish the scope of the project, refine the objectives, and define the course of action required to attain the objectives that the project was undertaken to achieve. Executing process groups. Those processes perform to complete the work defined in the project management plan to satisfy the project specifications. Monitoring and controlling process groups. Those processes required to track, review, and regulate the progress and performance of the project, identify any area in which changes to the plan are required, and initiate the corresponding changes. Closing process groups. Those processes perform to finalize all activities across all project management process groups to formally close the project. Each one of those process groups have well-defined interactions between them. Also, these process groups closely resemble Deming's Plan, Do, Check Act, which we will discuss in a moment. In case of big projects, each of these process group processes can be repeated for each phase instead of defining process groups for the whole project. This extra effort gives more control over the project. Edward Deming proposed an excellent model to analyze business processes in the 1950s. His feedback loop model can be utilized for any cyclic process that takes input from output of previous cycles. Plan is coming up with newer changed process components to improve results. It directly relates to planning process group in project management. Either new plans are created during the start of the project or plans modified and rebaselined based on inputs from other project processes. Do means implementing the plan and measuring its performance. It directly relates to the execution process group. Check means assessing the measurements and report the results to decision makers. This directly relates to monitoring and controlling process groups. And Act is deciding on changes needed to improve the process. This is the change requests and process changes outputs of monitoring and controlling processes. Project manager and management team review all the change requests and required plan and process changes and approve them. Although the fundamentals of project management are applicable across all types of project environments, the areas of emphasis can vary depending on the nature of the project you are running. I have worked in new business development for my entire career, and as a result, I have been exposed to many different kinds of project-centric organizations. You would be amazed at the range of maturity of project management practices and diversity of project types that make up the DNA of the many organizations seeking to better manage their projects and their processes. Moreover, every organization experiences different levels of pain in their project management practice. For some, it may be planning or collaboration that are their main areas of concern, while others are seeking to improve their visibility with portfolios or resourcing. After conversing with enough organizations, patterns begin to emerge that reveal some interesting best practices that can be shared across the project management world. As we have discovered, the seriousness in which each organization manages risk varies greatly. Nonetheless, risk plays a significant role in the final outcome of most projects. The project management world can learn a tremendous amount from organizations running new product development projects. With a gated process at the core of new product development projects, project managers from all walks of life can incorporate some very useful new product development processes to mitigate risk as well as to get a better handle on the direction that their projects are heading in. So what makes new product development organizations different in their approach to managing projects? With multiple value chains to consider and the significant financial impact of these high-value projects, new product development projects are exposed to higher risks. Consequently, in order to reduce risk, these organizations need to be able to effectively monitor all business processes among all groups that directly and indirectly touch the product development projects that they serve. Here are some high-level processes used by new product development teams that you may want to consider in your own projects. The first is project governance. The nature of new product development organization tends to focus more heavily on the development of standard documentation, policies, and procedures surrounding their projects. This agreed-upon formal process will facilitate better visibility into projects and portfolios. Business process management. New product development organizations need to ensure that their implementation of project workflows include the relevant stakeholders for the appropriate approval and review processes responsible for a project's success. Integrating a new product development phase review methodology as part of your standard practice will provide your project leadership with the necessary visibility to identify bottlenecks and issues before they hurt your project. To fully maximize the value of your projects, if necessary, make sure that multiple workflows are mapped to the multiple value chains that contribute to a project's outcome. Project collaboration. New product development organizations need to provide the means for dispersed teams and stakeholders to effectively contribute feedback and view information so that there is complete transparency and input throughout the life cycle of the project. Collaboration includes automatic alerts of relevant information to project stakeholders, comprehensive reporting, and the sharing of information. The goal should be to develop a project management strategy that is not solely focused on delivering project information to project managers and team members, but to establish a process-driven strategy that will control the flow of project information. The benefit of embracing a new product development process-driven project management strategy is that it allows for a more formalized approach to tracking project activities so that the challenges and issues creating risk in your projects will be managed more effectively. After all, great project managers understand that their ability to better manage and reduce risk will improve the likelihood of a positive result for their projects. The following include the references used in this presentation.